They just built a domestic payments blacklist, 4 scoring triggers that freeze legal people. You wake up to a "payment failed" banner that doesn't explain itself. Your card works, then it doesn't. Your transfer clears, then it bounces. Payroll hangs in limbo. And the only answer you get is the most lethal sentence in modern finance. Policy decision. You think this is about criminals? That's herd thinking. This is about automated compliance math that can freeze a legal person without a court date, without a charge, without your name ever appearing on a public list. It's not one list. It's a pipeline. I pulled OFAC guidance, FinCEN's CDD rule at 31 CFR 1010.230, and the Sanctions Compliance Guidance OFAC published for instant payment systems, 4 triggers. Each one has a named instrument. Each one has a trade-off you can run the numbers on. And each one is verifiable in 15 minutes if you know where to look. And the last one on this list, the one the system is actively trying to normalize through information sharing mechanisms, is the one that turns a single offboarding into a multi-platform financial blackout. Wait for it. Geography can kill you in a collapse. But paperwork can kill you in a functioning state. Your enemy isn't a secret cabal. Your enemy is compliance scaling, retention rules, automated screening, and instant rails that punish ambiguity because humans can't review transactions at 3 a.m. Most people prep cash and ammo and pretend their digital life is normal. Then a model flags their profile, and their normal becomes a locked account and a month of begging. You don't beg, you pre-audit. I filtered this list against 4 criteria. 1. A named instrument you can cite, OFAC guidance, a CFR section, a dated compliance document. 2. A mechanical trigger, ownership aggregation, KYC record retention, real-time exception handling, entity resolution scoring. 3. A structural advantage for the system, something that scales without needing a human accusation. 4. A named trade-off, a concrete way legal people get hit. Stale corporate records, inconsistent identity fields, false positives, vendor concentration. This isn't about being good. It's about being legible. 4 triggers cleared. Here they are. Number 1. The OFAC 50% rule, the ghost SDN gambit. It's not the list that gets you. It's the ownership math behind the list. Picture your business wiring a supplier for a routine shipment. The bank doesn't ask questions. It just rejects the payment. No accusation, no explanation. Your counterparty wasn't on the list yesterday. Today your transaction is toxic. Here's the mechanism. OFAC's Entities Owned by Blocked Persons 50% Rule, released August 11, 2020. The math is brutal. Any entity owned 50% or more, directly or indirectly, in the aggregate, by one or more blocked persons is itself considered blocked. Even if that entity is not on the SDN list. 2 blocked persons at 25% plus 25% equals a blocked entity. OFAC says it. Compliance systems implemented. Most people think sanction screening is name versus list. It's not. It's entity resolution plus ownership graphing plus aggregation logic. Vendors pull beneficial ownership datasets, map networks, and when they can't resolve cleanly, banks overblock. Missing a hit is career-ending. Freezing a legal person is a rounding error. Now the trade-off. Ordinary people aren't owned 50% by SDNs. You get hidden edge cases, indirect exposure through small private deals, foreign partners, inherited interests, silent upstream owners, or stale corporate records that vendors can't reconcile. So you pre-audit. Map every entity you control, every signer, every upstream investor or partner, every foreign beneficial owner, and document clean separation. Even if you're nowhere near a sanctions owner chain, the domestic pipeline can still kneecap you. Number 2. FinCEN's Beneficial Ownership CDD Rule, the KYC memory machine. It's not verification. It's permanent institutional memory that vendors recycle, 5 years. That's how long your file can keep breathing after you think a relationship is dead. FinCEN's Customer Due Diligence Rule, 31 CFR 1010.230. Requires covered financial institutions to identify and verify beneficial owners of legal entity customers, and retain beneficial ownership records. The retention hook matters. 31 CFR 1010.230. 2. ties it to 5 years after an account is closed, and FinCEN's CDDFAQ spells out the logic. This is not verification. It's institutional memory. The pipeline is onboarding, KYC, periodic refresh, and transaction monitoring. If your beneficial ownership, control persons, addresses, phone numbers, IN, or formation documents don't reconcile cleanly, you trigger cannot verify inconsistent profile flags. And the default move is de-risking. Not because you broke a law, because you're expensive to explain. A Florida small business owner put it bluntly. They didn't say I broke a law. They said I didn't fit their risk model, and that was the end of it. The trade-off is where you actually feel it. If you're a simple W-2 with one checking account, you skate. The moment you touch cash-intensive behavior, multiple entities, international wires, crypto ramps, high refund rates, politically exposed adjacency, or rapid account openings, the questions stop being optional. Your move is a KYC dossier you control. Consistent legal names, addresses, formation docs, operating agreements, ownership percentages, signer roles, and a clean source of funds narrative. Now you're in the machine. And the machine is going 24/7. Number 3. 2 triggers down. 2 to go. You just learned the 2 ways legal people get frozen without ever doing the crime, ownership math that blocks entities not on the SDN list, and FinCEN's 31 CFR 1010.230 memory that outlives your bank account by 5 years. Next comes the squeeze. OFAC September 2022. Sanctions compliance guidance for instant payment systems, and what it forces in real time. Then the kill shot. Shared tooling and information sharing mechanisms, turning one risk score into a multi-platform blackout. Instant payments compliance, the no review window vice. When money moves in seconds, you get screened like a missile threat. Real-time rails don't give you a second chance. Your payment is either clean in the first pass, or you become exception handling. That's the polite term for frozen, questioned, delayed, offboarded. Here's the named instrument. OFAC's Sanctions Compliance Guidance for Instant Payment Systems, September 2022. OFAC spells out the problem. Instant payments move too fast for manual review, so institutions have to bake sanctions screening into the front end, and they need a plan for interdiction, rejects, and post-transaction handling. Translation. The system is engineered to punish ambiguity, not wrongdoing. Structural advantage, automation. The herd assumes a human reads context. You don't get context. You get string matching, entity resolution scoring, and rules that stop the rail when confidence drops. One inconsistent address format. One nickname that doesn't match your legal name. One merchant category that spikes your risk model. Instant rail, instant choke, trade-off. Speed costs false positives. If a bank slows the rail for human review, it loses the instant promise and eats operational expense. So it overblocks. A delayed payroll run costs you real money and reputational damage while the bank logs it as a policy decision. You fix what you control. Make your identity fields boring and consistent across banks, payment apps, and payroll. Stop feeding the model conflicting names, addresses, and device profiles. Now for the part they're normalizing across platforms. Number 4. Vendor concentration risk, the single point failure snare. One outsourced risk score can quietly become your entire financial identity. Remember the opening tease. The one the system is actively trying to normalize through information sharing mechanisms. This is it, not a government list, a shared private pipeline. Most people think they have 5 payment options. You don't. You have 5 skins on the same compliance spine. When your bank, your card processor, and your fintech app all buy screening, KYC, fraud, and entity resolution from the same handful of vendors, one bad score follows you like a shadow. The mechanism isn't mysterious. It's vendor concentration risk, shared tooling, shared datasets, shared watchlist screening, shared identity graphs. One adverse event, an offboarding, a fraud label you can't see, a mismatched identity cluster, propagates. And information sharing mechanisms make that propagation socially acceptable inside the industry. Your consequence? Multi-platform declines with zero due process because the decision is framed as risk control, not punishment. Trade-off, with a cost you can feel. Concentration is cheaper. A single vendor contract cuts compliance headcount and keeps the regulator happy. Your cost is fragility. One erroneous flag can lock you out of payroll, bill pay, and merchant processing at once, forcing you into slower rails and higher fees to function. A Southwest gig worker said it plainly. One app closed me. Then the others started acting weird within days. That's 4. Now run the pattern. These 4 triggers share one thing the herd refuses to see. You're not being judged by morality. You're being judged by legibility. Named instruments. OFAC's August 11, 2020 50% rule logic. FinCEN's 31 CFR 1010.230 retention memory. OFAC's September 2022 instant payments guidance. Turn your life into fields, scores, and exception queues. That machinery scales because it doesn't need a judge. It needs a mismatch. Dark truth. You can do everything legal and still get functionally exiled if your profile becomes expensive to defend inside someone else's model. So do reconnaissance. Pull your last 3 months of bank statements and list every platform you touch. Compare your legal name, address, phone, and employer fields across each one. Make them identical. Build a personal KYC dossier. IDs, proof of address, entity docs, ownership percentages, source of funds narrative. Then reduce single points of failure. Keep at least one separate bank relationship and one separate payment rail. Physics doesn't take bribes.